I want my kids to be able to celebrate when one gets something and they don't all get it, because they're not all going to get married the same year. They're not all going to have babies the same year. They're not all going to get homes the same year. They're not all going to get promotions and raises the same year. And I want them to learn how to celebrate and not be jealous because one got something. And people who get jealous are people who don't believe God has anything for them or their father has anything for them. But if they knew their father had something for them, they wouldn't care what God gave other people.
Welcome to the Leading Second podcast, a space to help church leaders thrive in the second chair. The Leading Second podcast releases every Thursday morning, so hit subscribe and share this episode with your team. Let's jump into another episode for all of us who lead from the middle. Welcome to the Leading Second podcast. It is our absolute honor to have you in this space with us today. Hey, if you lead from the middle in any capacity, Leading Second is for you. If you find this episode helpful, I just want to encourage you to visit leadingsecond.com/podcast and download the episode guide we've created for today's episode. Feel free to use this with your team if you feel that it would be valuable to you. We would absolutely love it if you would help us to make some noise about the podcast by sharing it with your team or posting this episode on social media or leaving ratings or reviews. It all helps share the message and move the ministry forward. We have an incredible guest for you today, so let's jump into the episode.
Well, Pastor Jonathan, welcome to the Leading Second podcast, my friend. I'm so glad to have you with us today.
I'm honored to be here with you.
It's been so fun watching and observing your church's journey. I think you said when we were logging on today, are you almost 20 years old as a church?
We are. We celebrated 20 years last November, and it's been an amazing journey of really God's faithfulness. And if he'd have told me all I was going to go through, I probably would have never went. But he's been faithful nonetheless. It's been great.
It's awesome. Well, just to give honor where honor is due, I'm going to let you introduce yourself here in a second. But you're the first pastor years ago when we stepped out to travel, and we're just believing God to do anything. Believe it or not, you're the first pastor that said to me, "Hey, I don't need a speaker right now, but would you come look at my church and tell me what you think?" And I thought, well, how hard can that be? What, you just walk around and look at stuff. So I went, and I remember you all were in a school and all of that. And, for anyone that has been blessed by the coaching side of our ministry, which we've gone to hundreds of churches now. I just have you to thank for honestly just one of those little idea spark that honestly, wow, God has blessed many, many, many times over for us. So excited to talk with you today, honor you as my friend. And why don't you tell us all a bit about you, your church, and then also your wild and crazy family that you've got.
Sure. Again, thanks for having me on here. We love your ministry, your family. Brandon, it's just beautiful to see the call of God on your life and what is happening and the impact you're making in the kingdom. And I'm just thrilled to be on this, be honest with you. And we did start our church 20 years ago with 4 people. And
wow.
Out of my 2-door Toyota Celero, back before iPhones and social media and back when church planting wasn't cool, we started and just were faithful, and God was more faithful. And 20 years later, we're here now. We pastor a creative church in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Every time you open your freezer, just think of us and pray for us. But God's been really faithful to us. We do have 8 children and 1 wife. I'm still on my first wife, if anybody's asking. So yeah, 1 wife. And my wife is a diamond, and she's fantastic. And we have 4 boys, 4 girls, and they are our greatest treasure. And so we are attempting to do our best to serve the Lord together as a family. And
That's
it's
awesome.
been a joy.
We're having a conversation today on family and ministry, and I think everybody just figured out why I asked you. I want to let everybody know listening to this on the podcast today, we're actually going to continue this on our subscription site, Leading Second Plus. We're going to do kind of an extended version over there. So I hope everyone in our tribe is checking out that site. We've created it for you with online courses and resources to help you in your leadership journey. So check that out. For the extended version of this conversation. But I do recognize and honor the fact that you're a lead pastor, and this is, of course, a Second Share Leader podcast. And yeah, I just thought, man, the man who has planted a church while leading a family like you lead, you're going to have a lot of wisdom to share with us on this. So I'm excited to hear from you on that. And you have some brilliant resources, and I don't say that lightly. There's a lot of information out there these days, but you carry, I believe, some very important resources for us right now. Tell us a little bit about your book, and also tell us about Cell Phone Permit.
Sure. We have a book called, we just came out with it. We're really excited, called Raising Parents. And you can get that at raisingparentsbook.com. That's where you can get all our resources. And it is really about setting our kids up for success, spiritual success. One of my mentors, John Maxwell, says it's a book every parent should read. I'm really excited for that. But we've just put what we have learned through our own asking of parents, through our own time with families that we felt we just love the fruit in their life, and what we both deemed success to be. And then along with our own mistakes and failures, you don't have to parent very long before you realize you don't know how to parent, and you're going to need a lot of help and coaching and the Holy Spirit for sure. Yep. And then we've just come out with a whole new line of kids books, kids resources. God made me a boy. Yes. God made me a girl. And then we're launching for Easter, the resurrection, He is risen, kids books. So they're very animated. They're beautiful, and helping kids put their identity in Christ. We've got master classes where we walk people through hours and hours of content. And then Cell Phone Permit is something we're really excited about. It's an 8-hour course that teaches kids how to use a cell phone in a safe and secure way. And we're trying to get it into every school and every church in America. So we're excited. That's some of the resources that are available.
Yes, we use it with our daughter. You know, we've been navigating cell phone life, having a preteen. She turns 13. God help us, this summer, and it's a game changer for
it's a whole
parents.
New world.
And I believe churches, entire churches can use Cell Phone Permit. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's a great resource for churches because all churches and youth pastors and parents within those churches are struggling with, how do I navigate this phone? And they don't really have a plan other than take the phone away for a day or two and give it back. So this is great for churches to provide for their families and even the community to say, hey, we've already made this available. Come check us out. We're going to do a series on family or parenting. We're going to give you this free resource.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So we fully endorse what you're doing and love it. Thank you so much for your faithful content there. And as a parent of a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old, I need help and coffee.
And sleep, coffee and sleep.
Of course, that's like nothing new to you. I usually my 10-year span of my kids is kind of a shocker. It's not a shocker to you, and you have like a truckload in between. So, I just need to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking about the other day. We've been in diapers. We just got the 3-year-olds, just getting them out. They're just very slow to potty train, but basically 18 years of diapers. Like we've gone through over close to 70,000 diapers, and just insane amount of diapers. And just having 8 kids, everything breaks faster. Everything, the life expectancy is cut to a quarter. The refrigerator, the toilet, the doors, everything. So it is quite the circus, but beautiful at the same time.
Amazing. Well, diving into this conversation today, there is no question. Lindsay and I are asked more frequently at conferences, on our podcast, anywhere, than this question, some version of it anyways. how do I navigate family and ministry? And so we're doing our best as a ministry to periodically visit this conversation in a meaningful way with meaningful leaders to bring wisdom to ministry couples who want to get this right. So we are assuming today that if you're listening to this, watching this, that you have a heart for your church, you have a heart for your pastor, you want to carry ministry well, but we're also able to recognize there are tensions in that. And navigating both well is a worthy task for all of us. So I would just love for you to get us started and just tell us how this has felt to you over, the last years of ministry as you have a fast-growing church in seasons, how that's felt for you alongside a fast-growing family as well. What's your experience been like with that?
Yeah, it is something that we had to adapt to. It's something that we had to learn. And ministry is that very unique thing that you just don't check out at 4:00 or 5:00 and turn it off. For a lot of us, ministry's happening in the evenings. We're connecting with people. We're at certain rehearsals. We're at hospitals. I'm at the hospital today, praying for somebody. So it is that
Wow.
thing that you carry as a calling and not a job. And so one of the things that we did with ministry is we included all of our kids in the ministry, and we let our family know ministry has a seat at our table. We
Yes.
basically treat it as one of our children. It's one of our children. If my son, Nicholas, he plays football. And so when he goes to a football game, the whole family goes to the game. We all go and sit there, and we're sometimes freezing here in Minnesota. We're out there watching the game with Nicholas. And then sometimes it's a Wednesday night and we're all going to the church event, or Sunday we're having this church event, or Penelope has an event and we're all going to that event. I think where jealousy comes in is if we only went to Nicholas's games and never went to Penelope's, never went to Liliana's, never went to Alexander's. And so what we tried to do was treat ministry as if it is one of the kids. It has a seat at the table. Brilliant. And we never tried to find, I know a lot of people talk through and where's the balance? We gave up trying to find balance, and we leaned more into the Lord. And without sounding super spiritual, but just honest to Jesus, we found out the more we surrendered to him, the more our family spent in his presence, the more time we spent as a family before we went to bed in the presence of the Lord, talking to each other about God, opening the scriptures, praying as a family, prophesying over the kids. The Lord just had a way of working it out where people never felt second or neglected or, not valued or anything like that. And everybody was able to really more lean into their role, because I think as parents spend more time with the Lord, our words carry more weight, and God makes our words effective to the children. And that was something that we did, making sure the kids know ministry has a seat at the table. We celebrate ministry, and ministry also celebrates you. And so we'd be at the game, and next thing you know, here's 30 church members coming to celebrate Nicholas at the game, because ministry also celebrates what you're doing. We included the kids in ministry. Every time I get up to speak, I always have one of the kids pray for me before I preach, even if that's 4 or 5 years old. And I did that because I never wanted them to be afraid of the stage. I always tell parents, don't speak shyness over your kids, because shyness can be a curse that robs you of your possibilities and opportunities. So I always have them pray. And now, I never gave them a warning. Now they can just get up and pray or share a thought or preach on something, or they sing, play instruments. So ministry has been a beautiful gift where they've given to it, and it's also given back to them because it's a sibling in our home.
Hey, there is a great resource that we have available for you, a space online for leadership development called Leading Second Plus. These are online courses to help church leaders thrive in the second chair. There's a tension when you're leading from the middle. And that's why we've created this space for leaders just like you, who want to get it right for their pastor and develop their skills and wisdom so that they know they are winning in their role. You'll be able to get new content regularly, anytime, anywhere from world-class leaders. And you'll get exclusive second chair leadership development content from our library. We're happy to offer a 7-day free trial on us. So if you'd like to find out more, you can go to leadingsecond.com to take your new step in leadership development.
What have the tensions felt like for you in that time? So, and I use the word tension because I heard it proposed that everything in life is either a problem to solve or a tension to manage. And to me, it's not a problem to solve. We want to be all in for our family. We want to be all in for ministry. So the two have to live in healthy tension together, but they're going to rub sometimes. And I guess, what has that felt like for you when you experienced the tension between the two?
Yeah, that's a good point. We definitely have felt that, whether it be, hey, we needed to move things around because dad's flying in and we can't make that birthday party. So we're going to move the birthday party a day because we're speaking somewhere, we're doing a conference, or, shifting certain things within the calendar to try to accommodate it. But that same rub happens if we weren't within church. That
True.
same rubs happen when you have multiple kids because one's in dance, one is, got this science project. One needs mom and dad to run to the store to get them this thing. One's got a hair appointment, a dentist appointment, a doc. I mean, I feel like a chauffeur, half the time. So even if we pull church out, those things rub. And what they've had to learn to do is to, bend and have the flexibility so that we can still walk together. And sometimes, hey, we can't all go. 3 of us are going to go to that. 2 of us are going to go here. Mom's going to go with you. Dad's going to go with this one. And we've had to find that within just our world, even outside of church, we've had to find that because with there being so many, there is those rubs. But within ministry, they've had to walk through. I mean, just this week, they had to walk through a friend. My son's had a close friend for over a decade and his family's leaving the church. And so he had to kind of walk through, man, it just stings. How do I navigate that? And how do I walk through that? So they've had to walk through getting close to people, and those, people leave or they move away. They've
Sure.
had to navigate that, or dad not being there, but we've been intentional to point out the wins. So when we've had these huge moments because of relationships, connections, opportunities that would have never come if they weren't for ministry, we always are intentional to point those out and say, look at this opportunity that you're given. That's because we're in ministry. Look how we're able to do this. And God opened this door for us. That's because we're in ministry. And I think we've just got to keep, raising the anthem of the wins and magnifying those wins and not just magnifying the negatives. And then trying to find really what is their love language. We just had Gary Chapman, and he was telling us that you could learn your child's love language by age 4. And so really trying to be intentional to find their love language and find that within ministry. How do we connect that to them? That's been a beautiful thing too. But
awesome.
We gave up trying to find the balance, because if you people think balance means equal, and trying to find the balance and everything. Well, this one had a certain amount, that one had a certain amount, this one had a certain amount, that had a certain amount. I don't even do that with my kids. I'll come home with a gift for one kid. I'll do that. I'll go to Burger King and come home with a Whopper meal for Penelope because she loves Burger King. And all the kids are like, where's our food? I'm like, I didn't get you food. I got this for Penelope. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, I got this just for Penelope. Let's be happy for Penelope, because I want my kids to be able to celebrate when one gets something and they don't
Very
all
good.
get it, because they're not all going to get married the same year. They're not all going to have babies the same year. They're not all going to get
Right.
homes the same year. They're not all going to get promotions and raises the same year. And I want them to learn how to celebrate and not be jealous because one got something. And people who get jealous are people who don't believe God has anything for them or their father has anything for them. But if they knew their father had something for them, they wouldn't care what God gave other people. So learning to celebrate what your siblings get and not feel like we all have to have the same at the same time is has been a lesson that we've really tried to learn. So sometimes ministry gets something, sometimes you're getting something. And I've pointed out sometimes mom and dad have said, no, we're not doing that in ministry because we're doing this for Isabella. And sometimes we've said no to Isabella because we're doing this for ministry, because ministry is one of the kids. We have 9 kids. One is ministry, and it has a seat at the table.
Beautiful. I remember years ago where we started doing that, where we started connecting the blessing on our lives to the blessing of being in ministry, reminding, we had one daughter at the time, reminding Zane, the reason we get to do this is because of what mom and dad do in ministry. And we walked into Disneyland one time, and I looked at her right on Main Street, and I said, we're going to have a lot of fun today. I just want to remind you why we're getting to do this today. Like those airline miles are a blessing. and
That's right.
I also started to say to her, you've been so generous with me being gone. I traveled 200 plus days for years, and really, really generous kid, so letting her dad be out with the greater body of Christ. And I just took time in that moment to say, this is my thank you to you for your generosity. And we get to do this. I wouldn't have these airline miles any other way. Now I know that might not be a relevant example for everybody, but I do think everybody has something they can celebrate about ministry and what ministry has meant to their lives. And I don't know how she felt at that moment, but I helped her see that she had been generous, rather than see that she was missing something or dad had been gone or whatever. I helped her see, this is an act of generosity. And it's just really cool because we're 12 years into it, and she really does have a generous heart. She prays for me. She kisses me goodbye every single trip. See you in a few days, Dad, and that's hundreds of trips later. And I think it's because we just started framing it the right way, way back when for her.
That's so beautiful. And, it's clear, she sounds a lot like the Lord, she sounds a lot like Jesus. And I think when we can point that out to our kids that, hey, you're being, very generous like the Lord, and forgiving like the Lord, and grace filled like the Lord. And, we do this for volunteers a lot. We'll do things like, hey, look at all the people that got saved. Thank you. Look at all the people that got baptized. Thank you. I think it's important. And I've done that for my kids. I've showed them the altars and said, I want you to see this. And this, you had a part in this, your giving of your mother, your father, you played a role in this. Look at the people that got baptized. You helped make that a reality. You behaved so mom and dad could do that. And you were present while, you watched yourself while we could minister to this person. Now they're being baptized. I want to say thank you. And I think letting them share in the fruit is a beautiful thing. And, I think another thing that's important in ministry is learning to, one thing we did, we live in Minnesota. We have no family here. So we didn't have grandmom and granddad here, or cousins or aunts or uncles. So one of the things Joanna had to do is we had to take our kids with us to restaurants, people's homes. And with that, we had to raise them in a way that they could conduct themselves in public. They could handle sitting at the table for 2 hours while mom and dad are having a conversation. And Joanna and I just chose, we never tell people how to discipline, but we always chose to discipline our children so that they could be with us. So that when we went into ministry meetings or had to go to dinner or have somebody at the house, we could take our kids with us. And I think sometimes when in ministry, if you don't discipline your children so they can go with you, then it's like, just let somebody watch them and then you're gone. Or then your wife's watching them and you're going, or vice versa. And we really wanted our kids to be with us. And so we raised them in a way that they could go to restaurants with us or go to somebody's home and be respectful. Like we practiced going to somebody's house. We would like practice it, go outside the door, knock on the door. Mom and dad will come to the door. We'll answer it so that when they go to somebody's house, they don't act crazy, and then you get in the car and you're yelling at them. They didn't practice it. They forgot how old they were. They forgot to introduce themselves. So that my little daughter can say, "Hi, I'm Liliana. This is a beautiful home. Thank you for having us." Well, she's only going to do that if we practice it. And I just encourage a lot of you, all of you who are in ministry, and you're like, "Oh, well, my wife's watching the kids. I'm going to go do it." And then you're coming home late, or we can't have people at the house because the kid's such a mess and the kids are so loud. Raise them in a way where you can bring people to your home, bring somebody so your wife can meet them or your husband can meet them and the children are respectful. It does show that you've got your house in order, and it does. You want to raise your children in a way where they can be a part of the journey with you. And when it comes to discipline, we always tell parents, you'll never discipline wrong if you pray before you discipline. If you pray before you discipline, you'll never discipline angry. And God will show you how to discipline each child separate. And let me just say this too. When you discipline, keep your children close to you. Don't send them to their rooms. Because when God disciplines us, he does not send us away. He disciplines us and brings us close. So when you discipline your child, keep them close to you. Let them know that discipline brings mom and dad close to me, doesn't push me away.
Beautiful. Well said. We're just getting started on this conversation, and I want to let everybody know listening to this on the podcast today, we're actually going to continue this on our subscription site, Leading Second Plus. We're going to do kind of an extended version over there. So got one more question for you here. Then we're going to just dive a little bit deeper on that side of the platform. I hope everyone in our tribe is checking out that site. We've created it for you with online courses and resources to help you in your leadership journey. So check that out for the extended version of this conversation. But let me ask you this for the remainder of the podcast here, Pastor Jonathan. When you see ministry couples getting this tension right, so when you look at your own team, or you look at, maybe ministry couples on other teams, and you see couples navigating this well, maybe they're in those early days with toddlers or babies or whatever, what are they doing? What do you see young couples in ministry in the second chair doing well as a pastor? Like, what would you want to see as a pastor from your second chair leaders in this tension?
Through the lens of parenting or marriage?
Yeah, balancing the family responsibilities with ministry responsibilities. I guess understanding this fact that in the second chair we carry a lot, and we of course relate to our pastors, but we also swivel and we carry a lot of responsibility in the church. So what would you want to see from your team balancing second chair leadership and family dynamics at the same time?
I want my team to take their days off. I want them to have time to rest. I want them to take vacations and create memories, to bring their families on the journey with them, their spouse on the journey with them, in whatever that may look like for them, their children on the journey with them. I want ministry to be an addition to their life and not a subtraction. And that does start in their own personal time with the Lord. And as they spend that time with the Lord every morning, I tell my team, like, you don't come into work if you haven't spent time with Jesus, because it's just not going to work. It's like, you got to get with the Lord first. And I'm like, don't you think the people think you pray? Like, don't you think they're right to think you pray? Like, isn't that like something that you think that we should do? And then that just, you're totally different dad, leader, or wife or mother, when you spend that time with the Lord, and God makes your words so much more effective. And I think that's one of the things that we need as pastors and leaders is when you spend time with the Lord, he gives you an anointing, and that anointing is what makes your words effective. And when your words are not effective, you'll become angry. And I see a lot of people in ministry who do not spend time with the Lord, and then they're angry at their spouse, their children aren't listening to them, the people on their team aren't listening to them because they've not spent that time with the Lord, so their words are of no effect. And then they just get angry and yell at everybody. And so I've learned more and more that it's so crucial that my team spends that time with the Lord. We do this thing once a month called Jesus Day, where we literally just spend an 8-hour workday ministering to the Lord and each other, because it makes their words more effective. So when they talk to their spouse, their team, their children, the words penetrate their heart. Tears run down the face of the people that they're speaking to and leading, and things become more effective. And so I do think, the old saying is tired eyes, rarely see a bright future. And, making sure that we work hard. I'd put my team up against anybody. We definitely work hard, but I want them to know they have somebody looking out for them so they don't have to all the time. They have somebody who is, I'm like, when are you getting that? When are you moving to that newer house? When are we getting that better car? Or, what's going on with the kids in school? And, are you having the time, to get with them? And if not, maybe we're structuring the day wrong. What can I do to help you with it? But I do think that they're only as good as the health at home. Let me say it like this. As a pastor, I pastor CEOs and different businessmen and women. These guys can have terrible marriages and their job doesn't care. They can have awful homes. Their job doesn't care as long as they get the job done. Right. But as a pastor, if my marriage falls apart, it affects my ministry. If my kids walk away from the faith, it affects my ministry. Well, if it affects my ministry, then it should be a part of my ministry. If I lose my marriage and I'm going to get let go because my wife left me, then ministering to my wife should be a part of my job. It needs to be a part of my work calendar. If my children, if I lose influence in the kingdom because my children are on drugs, then ministering to my children should be a part of my work calendar. My board told me anybody in your church can leave and you'll be fine except one person, Pastor Joanne, my wife. So if that person's that important to me, she needs to be a part of my 40, 50-hour work week, not in addition to, because the other guy who's working the 40, 50 hours can lose his marriage and his job doesn't care. But in ministry, it matters. And so I want my team to know ministering to your children and your spouse is a part of your job description, and not just ministering to the people and then, if you have time, do that. So that's one of the things that we really, really value.
Very good.
It is our honor to serve churches and leaders across the globe. We equip ministry leaders with the coaching, events, and resources needed to embrace their calling, get it right with their pastor, and lead in an uncommon way. Visit our website, leadingsecond.com, to learn how we can come alongside you as you lead from the middle. From the second chair, for the second chair.